Eastward School. And with that volume of traffic there on a good day, it's bad. God forbid something happens there to a young child going to school. I wouldn't want to have my signature on that. So I don't think, sometimes it's better to step back and take a deep breath in common sense and do some kind of a study there. Because the way it is to us, because I see the driveways there, where the exit is and the entrance is there. If somebody comes out of that driveway and wants to make a left and go east on Route 30 with the traffic volume there, that's going to be a real mess out there. So it's a mess somebody making a left-hand turn on 30 going west to Chestnut Street. It backs all the way up to 113. So it's something we got to look at. But I don't think it should be a burden on the taxpayers of Downingtown. I think now, for whatever reason, we got to step back and take a look at that. It's something that would be common sense to do, this thing. So that's what I have to say. I appreciate the time tonight.
Let's see if we have questions. Maybe they
Yeah,
have questions. Anybody have questions?
I respect what you're saying, Mr. Hurtacek. I thought I heard that the applicant will be funding a traffic study during the.
I think that's requested, I believe. I think, right, if it's Dominic goes land development, they'll have to, or that can be.
There's not a lot of options for relief in that.
Pretty tough. And some of it's underground, it's not all on top of the ground. There's a lot of different ways of handling it, correct, Tom?
Correct.
Is there a certain measurement of what it is today versus what it is with the proposed building? I mean,
Yes, they are not allowed to increase the flow on the neighbor's property. And they have to actually over-control the lower storm and provide more water quality measures than what we had in the old ordinances. Now, in the higher level storms, that's more of a match.
And that's happening on residential in all town, correct? When you do impervious surface, it's affecting all development, correct?
That's correct.
Pat, anything else? Josh?
Well, I just want to say I completely agree with you. We need to holistically look at traffic through this section of town. We have had that elderly woman who's Mr. Castani's tenant died in a car accident, and we've got a few of those throughout town. A resident of St. James was killed on Pennsylvania Avenue maybe 2 years ago, walking back to St. James. So people do fly through our community, and hopefully we can find a way. Hopefully as council, and we all work together, and maybe work with St. James to find some solutions long term.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea. Because 30 is getting like the bypass now.
In the church, you have how many members? Roughly?
650.
650, yeah.
You guys?
Plus we have the preschool.
I know you have the preschool, I was going to ask that next.
Yeah,
So
you went there, didn't you, Tony?
Did you have a lot of trouble with them coming out when you had the
Yeah, you
services?
got traffic backs up on
I
Sunday.
mean, did they have a lot?
So of course, Sunday you don't have the volume of traffic like you do on during the
We have
week.
preschool every day. How many preschools?
Preschool, parking lot's packed.
Yeah, because I remember we just did that. We did that.
So they exit back
Me
on
Main
Pennsylvania
Street.
Avenue or is there on
How many cars do you say exit out of that? I know it's grows and grows.
when they pick up their kids, the parking lot's packed. And we have 8 parking spaces down at St. James Place, which are belong to St. James.
You pick them up. How many?
And that's right behind Dr.
How many
Crocker.
kids do you think? I'm just thinking how it's going to affect you. 10, 20 kids, maybe? I don't. I'm just guessing.
I don't know.
Sure.
I'll tell you, I'd like to take an exception to 90. Doctor's attorney discussing the traffic patterns there, because he's not a professional traffic study guy. Would you agree?
Are you, sir?
No, I'm not.
Okay, where are you then?
That's very relevant. Anyway, so I'm sorry.
But it's under testimony you're talking.
No, I wasn't.
Your best opinion
I
was
wasn't giving
that.
testimony. Attorneys don't give testimony.
I'll recuse myself.
One at a time, I'm sorry. They said 90 kids are being picked up from the...
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, I just want, it's a gorgeous building. I hope we get more businesses in town with the low end pack on the school, bring people in at a steady rate. So I appreciate what you're trying to do. And coming in, you could have went anywhere and made a mistake and invested in Downingtown in several properties and is trying to make it better. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good, thanks. Now, wait, we want to see if I have any questions for you. Any questions, guys? Ann?
Thanks a lot for bringing up those.
Thank you.
concerns.
Any other citizens? Sure, come on up.
If you want to be sworn, if you want to provide testimony or
You
anything
just have
that
it.
we can rely on, then you
You
need
just
to be
want to
sworn.
give a test. Go ahead.
Not if you just want to swear, that's
Go
good.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's be safe. Go ahead.
Well, there we go. Keep on.
Yeah, please.
You swear or affirm to state about the truth,
I do. My name is Matt Ryan. I live at 413 East Lancaster Ave here in Downingtown. We've heard from 403, we've heard from 409 East Lancaster Ave, and now you're hearing from 413 East Lancaster Ave. I will agree with everyone else. I think this is a very beautiful building. I think the architect's done a great job. However, I've lived there for 9 years at that place, and I've seen traffic grow, and I've seen our central business district expand. And so what I'm seeing is that central business district is expanding past Green Street up into the more medical offices being built. And what I'm looking at now is a large commercial building being built in my neighborhood. I love my neighborhood. I have a house that's 163 years old, and it's next to a church that's 180 years old. And I don't even know how old your house is. 200. Okay, so we have a lot of beautiful history right there, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. And I think it's a nice building, but I don't want to see more commercial property coming up into my backyard. And that's my concern about this. Not that I can stop a building from being built, but we have an option here to put some conditions on this project moving forward. Jamie brought some ideas forward earlier this evening about contributing to funds that could benefit other areas within the borough. I'm not going to stop this building from going up 2 doors down from me. I have to look at it every day. I have to deal with, even if it's a little tiny bit of traffic, this is 4 cars a day. And you drive past it every day as you're going back home. My home's right there, so I don't drive past it, I drive through it. I stop, I stop, I stop. I wait, I turn left. Or I wait and turn right. Or when I'm walking down to the borough, the central business district, I dive between cars on the very small little crosswalk that's right in front of the doctor's new building. Because there's a large sign right in front of my house, it's a big crosswalk, 250 feet from that crosswalk. And it tells people that they should be slowing down, but if you've been on 30 in front of my house, not many of you are driving 25 miles an hour. Even if school's in session and the lights are flashing. So my concern is that if we're going to move forward with this project, we need to put some conditions on here that are going to benefit the borough. We need to do something about that intersection. We don't put a traffic light there? Probably not. PennDOT's not going to see it has enough value right now or enough traffic to warrant it. But maybe we could do some better marking on the road. Maybe we put bigger lines on the road. Maybe we put speed bumps. I don't know. But we need to do something, and we need to be able to get a little bit of an input from the businesses that we do want to bring to our borough, but not so much into the residential area. So we have a business structure that's going up in a residential neighborhood that has a little bit of traffic that's going to be increasing there. Any cars at that intersection cause a problem. Lived on the intersection for 9 years, what I do now. Prior to the 9 years at 413, I lived at 17 Chestnut Street, which is the first house on Chestnut off of that intersection. I lived there for 7 years. So I'm putting about 8, my math isn't even as good as yours, whatever 7 and 9 is, 16 years into that intersection. I've been doing a lot of time turning left and turning right. It is a bad intersection if you have to stop and turn. So let's take this opportunity to do something that we can at least try to minimize the impact anymore. So that's it.
Any questions? Matt, do you have a lot of trouble getting out your driveway? I know it's narrow.
I have a lot of trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I just, you know, I take my Silverado and I just go blowing through. No, I do. I mean, I'll sit there any time of the day or night. Luckily, I work from home, so I don't have to go out too much, but my wife is. But if we have to sit there, and whether I'm going left or right, I hope a good Samaritan is going to stop me.
Okay, on Saturdays, right?
Yeah.
I actually go with traffic. That's the little unit in the back, is that a rental unit or just a garage?
The little unit in the back is a cottage.
The rental.
The cottage at 413. That's actually my office.
You live in the
I
back?
work, well, I live in the big house up front. I just put my office in the back and I work at it. It used to be a rental unit, yes.
Oh, okay, so there's an office in the back, I'm sorry.
No, it's.
I remember it used to be.
It's an apartment. It's got a kitchen and
I
bathroom.
remember it
you
used
know.
to be a rental, yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was
but
wondering.
I just turned it into my office.
Okay, so-
Still got a bathroom and kitchen in there.
Any questions, guys? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Anybody else? All righty. Mark?
I have some other questions here that have come up.
Yeah, for who?
Yeah, I guess it might be for the engineer, it might be for, I'm not really sure. This showing the two properties, the property lines. Now, the proposed building is actually crossing onto two lots. So was there any talk about just subdividing and making it into, making it tiny as far as the lots? So it has its own lot and it's not crossing over two?
Guys, let's try to come up and, really, because if not, she won't be able to. I'm sorry, it gets out of hand quickly.
The lot will be consolidated into one lot.
You are going to consolidate into one lot. Okay,
And
so,
and maybe you should say your name, because she puts it in or she doesn't know who's answering the question. These are court
David
documents.
Gibbons, Real Housemans.
Thank you.
so you're consolidating into one lot, and so now this one lot is going to have two apartments, two businesses, and then another separate housing. I don't know, I just don't know as far as our zoning, is that allowed? Is that something that is way out of line, beyond a conditional use? Are there other requirements that have to be met? And that's for Tom Uhas.
The use,
Tom Uhas, go ahead.
the use is allowed and is subject to this hearing. The area and bulk are the zoning requirements, and they've already testified to that. And they did obtain the variances to make it compliant with zoning. So they did get the necessary relief where it did not exactly meet zoning.
So it is allowed to be built there
Yes.
on the property, that's
Okay, and
Thank you.
then,
Anything else, Ann?
yeah, the other question is, I'm looking at it, and again, I'm going back to the six exam rooms, and then the little operating room and everything. It's huge, it's just huge. I know I personally would feel more comfortable if it was a smaller building. I think that the size of the building, the amount of impervious coverage is a little bit over the top, because I don't see one position and maybe even having somebody who's swapping time with you, needing such a large facility. And I think it would serve everyone better as far as the stormwater runoff, as far as the parking, and even the setbacks and things, if it could be made smaller. Now, I don't know if you are amenable to that, if you looked at that and maybe costed it out in cost analysis, what you have to have that many in order to make enough income. I don't know. But my preference is to have a smaller footprint in that building. It is a lovely building. I think it's not in opposition, it's bad for the area. But I think that everything it's generating is going to be just a little bit too much for the area. And then the other thing is, I would also like to propose that the condition being, one of the conditions is that, hey, a traffic, not just a traffic study for that area, but I think we need to revisit the whole downtown area to get things working. So I would think that a contribution to like a traffic study fund that would be particularly for that main street area would be a very good idea, so that we could really explore, as we're expanding traffic patterns and what might be beneficial to us. And then in the interim, I think that it would be a very good idea to have one driveway, going in, but then the driveway coming out is a right turn only. That we place a condition on that, so that people coming out cannot make a left turn, because making a left turn out of there, they'd have to cross over the the Chestnut Street, where people might be wanting to turn one way or the other. So I would make his exit absolutely only a right turn. People can come in from either direction.
We don't have to put conditions on that, man. I mean, do you have questions for them?
I'm talking to council,
Oh, okay.
and I was asking a question about having a smaller facility, and if that's feasible.
Doc, I don't know what the words are about, but you're here for this building, this size building, that's what you're going to do. Okay. The doc,
So does that mean I'm not going to get an answer?
I just asked him, he just. he
Well,
said-
So, am I-
You're here for this, we're not here to
I instruct all
negotiate.
my clients not to negotiate.
Right,
So,
you're here for this building.
It
that's
meets
what
the zoning ordinance requirements. I respect your opinion, but
Thank you.
that's the
I'm-
application.
Thank you. Doctor, and I don't put words in there about the offices, but I know when I go, the extra rooms aren't as much to have 20 people move in, but we go in and we turn. They do a little prep work, take your blood pressure, type stuff in, do whatever. So a lot of those are needed to facilitate and get the patients in and out at a reasonable manner, or else it's not going to be the 15 minutes, like you say, it's going to be.
Yeah, if I may comment, the future of family medicine primary care is more of a team effort to care for people. Whereas I will have, different stations where patients will be cared for by the nurse, by myself, and on my way out. So it's a rotating kind of situation that, where I need that extra space to make it worthwhile. And then I also have the surgical suite to do things that, procedures in the office. So I don't like to be crammed into a small area and have a room, so.
Where are you practicing right now?
I'm right down the street in East County Township in the Downingtown Professional Plaza. Dr. Gunta and myself share space. And it's crowded with 6 rooms.
What's the, out of curiosity, what's the square foot of that area?
It's,
Doctor, and really, that really is not a timing thing now. We're talking about this, but let's keep our questions this. We're going off base like we usually do all the time. So let's, if you have any questions about this building, whatever, let's not drag in the whole practice and go through everything, if you don't mind. Do you have any more questions about this building?
I do have a question for the solicitor. Solicitor, I'm sorry, is that an inappropriate question when I was asked? Is there an objection? Should there be an objection to that question? And the reason I'm asking is because I really want to know.
Well,
I think
it's not,
important.
if you want to know, I mean, it certainly relates to the proposed practice, what he's doing now. I mean, he's with a different doctor, so, I would expect the applicant's attorney to say that it has nothing to do with it, so there's probably some ways that.
But since the applicant's attorney didn't say that, I don't see how the
He
council
is.
president, you are. Okay, that's fine, then that I will respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? Mark, you want to?
Well, I'd ask the applicant, do you have anything else you want to present?
If I could just sum up real quick, and I know the meeting's getting late. Listen, we've heard Mr. Bruden's comments, Mr. Hudachek's comments, Mr. Ryan's comments. We respect those comments. But naturally, this will proceed further if this application is approved tonight through land development, and many of those issues will get addressed. I would just caution Borough Council. I know there's a sentiment of, well, let's impose some conditions on this applicant. I caution you, and I'm sure you'll have this conversation with your solicitor, you can't just pull these conditions out of the air. You are duty bound by law as to what you can condition. For example, a cupola. You can't say, we want to see a cupola. There's no basis for it. You can't say, we want to see a traffic signal. That's a PennDOT issue. What I'm suggesting to you is, I've heard these issues, and believe me, I hear them a lot of municipalities, including my own. If there's a sentiment to extract monies from developers for traffic improvements, that's called a 209 study and impact fee. You can impose that by law on every development that comes in, but you have to enact that. And I understand that's not currently in place in Downingtown Borough. So I caution you, again, please, this application has met the requirements in our opinion, and it stands on its own. But you can't go grab as to what you'd like to see or what we'd like to impose. So with that, I'll close and leave it to Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Jaros.
Solicitor Thompson, could you please educate the council as far as what conditions we are allowed to impose by law?
Well, if the conditions relate to the provisions in the ordinance stating the issues that Borough Council can look at for conditional use applications, health, safety, and welfare of the community, usually so that it's on the burdens on the applicant to present evidence tonight at the hearing. Unless council hears evidence to the contrary, then the applicant would stand on the evidence that he's presented. It then falls to, Borough Council has 45 days to render a written decision and generate whatever conditions that, based on the evidence that was presented here tonight, that you'd like to see imposed on the use.
Mark, and I have a question. Like we did our fee in lieu of parking, we spent a lot of time on it to make it fair, and we made steps on it. And I think at some point in time, we're going to have to look at that, and if there's going to be a traffic impact or whatever, we'll have to figure out something fair and equitable to everybody coming in if we're going to do something to low impact. It's pretty hard for us to say, we want $50,000 to study, 6 cars going in and out. But I think at some point in time, we'll have to look at that in the future and get something, in concrete, guys. So we're fair to everybody. We can't say, you're 50, you're 10, you're 20, we're going to have a problem. It's just not fair to do that to one applicant as much as we'd like to help this money.
Well, for instance, the issues related to traffic, I think what I heard the applicant say was that a write-in or write-out requirement, I think that you mentioned, would be something that they would not have an issue with at that location. Stormwater issues certainly would have to be addressed. Issues concerning turning movements for fire trucks, which was brought up, that certainly could be addressed as a condition. So issues related to health, safety, and welfare, and the ability for the applicant to make this building work on the property are fair game for conditional use.
And what recommendations, Phil, what recommendations does the Plan Commission have for conditional use?
Oh, gosh. We have some. Do you have them, Tom? The planning commission's,
Mr. President, they actually just ordered the application.
they didn't put any,
Because they have to go through the land development process,
They're waiting
it
for
is
that
really
one.
addressed
okay.
because
Right. So they're going to address the land development. All right, any other questions? Mark?
Okay, hearing none, there's nothing else from the audience. We can close the hearing. The board has 45 days from tonight to render a written decision, which we can draft and discuss with council. And with that, then the hearing is closed.
Okay, hearing's coming. Thank you, everybody. Council, you, okay, 45 days, we'll hash it out and see what's what. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you, thanks for coming, appreciate it, everybody, thank you. Transportation Fund Grant Application, Woodbine Road Multi-Use Trail Project. Steve, you want to?
yeah, this is our second attempt. One of our engineers that we've been working with, Remington Burning, has been looking at this, and this is something that they agreed to do, and Bishop Shanahan, along with Woodbine Partners, would pay all matching funds, and it was for streetlights, ornamental streetlights down Woodbine, and various other improvements on Woodbine that would be completed through the grant process if they were actually successful.
In a nutshell, we're second time we're trying to get more money and make improvements now, correct?
Correct, no money out of the...
Nothing out of our pocket. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
I'm sorry, what area exactly was this working for? I mean, the,
Woodbine Road down, that's down there where the Bishop Channel Wall.
oh.
Now that's where they just approved, we had that conditional receiving on the other side.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
All right. Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you, everyone. All right, we're going to jump back up to Downingtown, not do it else. Steve, you want to give an update on what's going on? I know.
I can. we talked about this a little bit earlier. Tom had reached out, we've been dealing with outdoor catalysts. We actually Tom actually spoke with 2 of the manufacturers of the signs. There was some good information exchanged on the emails that we followed. I think one of the recommendations came in from the actual Daktronics website rather, that said there were different angles for signage, projection, 30-degree, 70-degree angles. Well, after our conference call with Daktronics, the actual manufacturer, which is one of the 2 largest in the country, if not the world, I think, they said, look, that our website and what that particular page was for traffic signage only, which was one color and it was a louvered sign. They said the technology for the digital sign is not the same. They are in research and development on directional LED signage, but right now the technology that was installed in Downingtown is the best that's on the market. They did confirm the testimony that the sign is designed to project forward, and as you move to the right, it does diminish, although it can be seen. So at this point, the borough staff, engineer, and myself have recommended that we think we have done what we can do as far as the technology on the LED sign. But the plannings and screenings are still on the table from Outdoor Catalyst at a estimated cost of $60,000. They are still willing to do that, and we feel that that's the best option. After speaking with council, they had some other thoughts, and I'll leave that up to them to discuss what they want to do next.
Some of it's executive session, so
We should say
right,
before people start talking.
right. So the executive session is executive session, guys. Yes, so we're exploring any and all avenues still. So,
Mr. President, would it be possible to give some more detail than that? I know you can't talk about what's in executive session, but I certainly believe that we talk about some things that would be helpful to this community. Is there anything more we can say?
I don't want to say, unless Mark says we can say something. Mark, if you want to tread that water and say anything about the executive session, I'm not comfortable at this point in time to talk about the executive session. Maybe at some point in time we can in the future.
You did. I want to make sure you remember that you offered Kelly a chance to speak.
Absolutely, Kelly's coming.
And do we need a motion?
I don't.
Would not need a
No, I don't think we need a motion to do that. No, we're fine with that. And Kelly, Bob, if you guys, I told you guys to come up and talk. Come on up if you like. Come up both together if you want. Kelly, where are you dressed? It's the first time you're back.
304 North Lake Drive.
School's out.
I have no idea. I'm in bed by now, like a month ago, so I'm enjoying this. I honestly don't even know where to begin with this. It's been almost 3 months and we still have no progress. So I'm disappointed, obviously. I'm sure some of you on council are.
We all.
All of
trying.
you.
We're all
I
trying.
can't say, I don't know if you can speak to your borough manager or engineer just the same. But the questions that we had asked at the June 1st meeting, I didn't write them down. My assumption was that somebody was writing them down. Is there a way that all of the residents who spoke can see what questions were asked and maybe the answers that Catalyst had given you so that we know what is definitely off the table? Because we haven't heard anything since we last were here as to what is and what isn't a possibility. And now we just got the Daktronics thing brought up, and that, as you're saying, it's still in research and development. So it could eventually come up. So that could be something that council could eventually explore. But for the time being, I still don't want to see it. So I still want some kind of buffering. That's a solution, not the solution. I have to emphasize that so that everybody's aware. Trees are not the end-all be-all for me. That's a solution.
We did look into it. We still are trying to get the buffers and the steep slopes and things we have. We are exploring any and all avenues, And I think at that time, the Tronics, that was the only thing that they did say that they were, at this point in time, willing to do was the plans.
So
Mr.
for,
Fred, I just wanted to say, Mr. Fred, there were a couple of things, and I'm sure that, like my wife or whoever else can go on YouTube, I think you can see everything that happened at meetings. It's still being recorded, so. But anyway, we did talk about rotating the sign. We talked about different types of louvers. If a louver could be mounted on the sign and welded on the stainless steel to be as a directional, to buffer the homes to the right. They said that distorts the LED so much that they would not back anything with louvers mounted. They said the technology is not available right now for that type of directional movement on the sign for right or left. There are louvers in the sign itself on each individual LED bulb. The bulbs are designed to project light forward versus to the side. It's kind of unfortunate. They did give us foot candles for 750 feet, and this is the lead engineer, one of the lead engineers at Daktronics, who does this for a living, and he said even rotating the sign upwards of 20 degrees would have little impact on your visual view right now. Whatever you can see right now is the minimum light output from the side, and you would be able to see it even 20 degrees. So we looked at structurally turning the sign. We looked at any type of possibility for engineering different louvers for the sign. We went to another digital billboard company. We asked if they would manufacture something. They said only if we're guaranteed a state contract where we get all the billboards would we enter into research and development or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, I know there are ideas out there. Obviously, council and the attorneys have talked about things that are executive session at this point. And I think it's probably important for you guys to know that this has kind of become a legal issue, where before it was kind of a partnership where, look, okay, these guys can see the sign, let's try and fix it. But now with the accusations and social media, I think it's turned to a little bit more of a legal issue, which kind of tightened things down for us. So now we're dealing with attorneys and other things. So I can only say and stress that there are things in the works that council still wants to do from a legal standpoint, but I don't think we can talk about it at this point. So.
legally I get that, but personally, what can be offered for the time being for us?
Just the trees, the screen.
And when do we get any information on that?
Well,
Aside from coming here, we would, none
I
of the
just found
residents
out
would know
today
this.
that they were still willing to do the screening.
Well, of course they should be.
Well, and I agree with you, and they are willing to do it, but our contact is minimized now at this point with them because of the legal accusations.
They did,
See,
they
that's
did,
good to know on our standpoint.
they did it, showed you where they're going to plant the trees, how high we're going to plant the trees.
That was proposed, that one of my neighbors was not a part of it, my next door neighbor, Joan DiBardino. She has buffering, but it's so small, and they left her out. So I'm actually gonna stand up here and request that she needs to be a part of that. All of that, those houses on North Lake Drive need to be a part of that. So that was something, I don't know if you guys questioned them.
They did agree to even go beyond the Roberts tract and into the 7-acre piece if that was necessary.
Okay.
So they did agree to it. There's covenants that need to be done for future maintenance. There's irrigation systems that need to be put in. We talked about those things, and I didn't get verification until today, actually, that they were willing to do that. So me providing you with an update kind of gives you fuel if something doesn't happen, to fuel your kind of feelings about it, you know? Yeah, so I don't want to give false information on an update when I don't have all the answers yet, so.
We're trying to get any and all shrubbery, okay? Can we put shrubbery all over it? Probably.
So-
I don't think at some point in time they're gonna say, hey, I think we got the bulk of it, we're gonna do it. We don't know until it goes up and what's gonna happen, as we can see now.
It going up was suggested to occur during the fall, and again, I apologize that it's 9:15, and we're still talking about trees here. They're supposed to be planted in the fall for them to be viable.
Correct.
If we backtrack and you have to have everybody's agreement, not to mention our stipulations, your stipulations. We really need to have some.
But Kelly, that's not, those trees aren't going on the properties now.
I understand that,
They're
but.
going back on the thing. I think that's done, Steve. We already did that.
Yeah, we can move forward rapidly with that, but what we have to do while that's happening is just some legal work with easements and stuff like that. That can all happen simultaneously.
So will you inform the residents that the trees will be going up and when?
Yeah, I mean, I would anticipate September at this point because, you know, it's already questionable whether trees of this size can make it, you know, in the summer.
Well, we discussed that at the last meeting, I
Yeah,
understand that.
so they want to push it to fall again.
Right, but
Kelly, we have several people on council, and I'm sure they'll update you and let you know what's going on. If you have a question.
But Steve wanted us to pinpoint the questions to him, and he was going to be the one to do it.
I can tell you exactly when they confirm when they're going to be planted, I'll let you guys know.
Through email, regular mail, your
Email,
newsletter,
email.
that's going on?
Email.
Email?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, we're paying for the newsletter, it's coming.
We just did all the tax exempt paperwork and the payment.
All right, Kelly, any more questions, Kelly? We're kind of going back, if you don't mind.
I wanted him to finish his thought.
He says he's going to let you know, and he's going to get back to you. Let you know through an email.
Pretty, you have a pretty comprehensive list.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Do what I can.
Sure, go right ahead.
Speaking for yourself or for the residents, do you want the trees?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as they're not on my property,
Got it.
touching my property. So the fact that they reached out to Robert, which was something that we also personally did, 4 or 5 weeks before they did, which is kind of upsetting that we had to do that on our own. I will take.
I just wanted to make sure that the residents,
Well, and that's-
we're moving forward with
we want-
something in that direction.
We want some kind of buffer, and we weren't supposed to see it. I don't want to see it.
I can speak for myself. I want any and everything we can get, no matter what it does.
Well,
to
initially,
it.
it was brought to us that only trees, so I like that you're now on that standpoint, anything and everything that you guys can get.
We're all on board, including all the staff, so we're all trying, okay?
Can I ask you a question? Okay. Are you looking at the trees as a temporary fix, like they're expecting, are you?
A solution. So it is something, not the whole enchilada.
So you're expecting, you're anticipating
expecting-
more after like sign off or whatever.
I'm
It's like
expecting
different
council
sign
to do
off.
what is right.
To do more.
We weren't
So,
supposed to see it at the sign, so I don't want to see the sign. Trees, yes, even though that they'll buffer the majority of it, the light still comes through. I don't want to see the light.
I just wanted to be clear, like, if the trees go in and they council's like, okay, done, bye, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, that was just a temporary fix, I still expect something more to be done. And I don't know, that's something that would have to be explored more from a legal perspective as far as that being an agreement kind of a thing. So that would just be something down the road.
Kelly, any and everything possible, we're going to keep trying. Do you mind if Bobby comes up now? Come on up, Bob.
Bobby Joe Brumo, 302 North Lake Drive. I just can't believe we talk about trees all the time. Okay, so Phil and I were fortunate enough to go to Harrisburg today to meet with Senator Dinniman. And in the senator's office, before we were on TV, he looked straight at me and said, "Hasn't anything been done for you yet?" And I had to say no. Nothing's been done for you. No. So Senator feels that we need a second opinion as a solicitor. The residents want a second opinion from a solicitor to work for us and do something for us here. I don't want to hear about trees. Okay? You can plant all the trees you want to on Roberts. Senator also asked me today, "Bobby Joe, if the sign was turned off at 6 o'clock at night, would that be good enough for you?" And I said, that is a first step, but we would be giving up and we do not want to see the sign at all. We weren't supposed to see the sign. We don't want to see it. You work for us. They work for you. They don't run the show. I don't want to hear about trees and Daktronics. You can plant all the trees you want on Roberts. I want a second opinion, and I want you to fight for us, because we have a senator fighting for us.
Thank you, Bobby. All righty.
I have a question about the trees, actually, that came up. Now, maybe you can answer this, I don't know, maybe Tom. The putting in the trees, do we have to, will all of the existing trees have to be taken down? Because right now, there is good coverage. If you put in additional trees, that could help, but if you take down all the trees that are there in order to put in new trees, these guys are gonna have this sign just blasting into them even worse until the new trees get tall enough.
Where are the trees being taken down? I'm sorry, just so I can follow.
There are a lot of trees there already,
Where?
on the other side of the people, blocking, some of the houses are blocked, but, they already have a buffer. They have
So what trees are you talking about, backyard or what? I'm not sure where you're saying trees, what trees?
There's in between space, so you've got,
I don't think, we're not taking any trees down. Whose property is it?
so here's Roberts, they have a fence and then there's their cars. And then there's this space here
Right.
that supposedly belongs to Downingtown, and then there's our yards. So in that space, there's trees that line,
We have no plans to take any trees down whatsoever.
because that's a really good question, I appreciate you asking that.
We-
Well, then why do we need Roberts? Why don't we just put the trees on our property?
Because
That's the thing,
It's
so
not
there's
our
supposedly,
there's a
I
right
don't
of
know the
way.
zoning.
There's a right of way, and we went down with the depth of line, and this was the best place to put the trees, am I correct, Tom? But we're not gonna be taking, the borough's not gonna be taking any trees out.
Okay, I didn't know about this in script. Could somebody please explain that to me?
The electrical wires are, the right of way?
That's what, yeah, the right of way, you're talking about this, the borough's
Kelly
property.
could probably tell you more about the right of way. Kelly, you-
Well, there's just, Roberts takes care of, because there's their fence and then there's all their cars. And there's about 6 to 15 feet of where they mow. So I'm assuming it's, my assumption, granted, I shouldn't assume things anymore, is that that's where those trees are going to be planted. Because then from there on is the land that we sort of maintain, that's that no man's land.
Kelly, we're on Spectre Lake where the trees, but once we know exactly where the trees are, we'll let you know. We don't know exactly what's going on, but once we get the proposal, we'll let you know, okay?
Will that be for, so,
They did say they want them as close to the utility easement as possible,
which is
because
towards
it's the
Roberts.
higher you can get up the hill, the better chance you'll
And
have.
where, for us, and I know Jones Yard, which is 306, we do have a little bit of an easement or a berm. So that'll affect us more height-wise. So if you do put 20 feet in for everybody else, even though it's 20 for us, it'll probably look like it's 25. So that's something that they would have to take into
Kelly,
consideration.
that's their thing. They looked, they figured out where to put them, they had a professional come in. We don't have a whole lot to say to tell them where to put the trees, because we tell them to put a tree and it doesn't work, they're gonna say, this is where you told us to put the tree. So they're going by their experts on where to put the trees.
Catalyst?
Yes.
Okay. They have their landscaper and their.
They had a guy come in there, and
They
they
had
would show
an
them.
engineer look
Yeah.
at it.
That was that proposal, we showed all the things.
But he never said he was their engineer. You guys didn't ask him that. He said he has an engineering degree.
He is their on-staff engineer, but a separate engineer did the screening plan.
Okay, that wasn't specified though, in June first.
We'll let you tell you where the trees are, Kelly. We don't know exactly where they're going. And anything, we tell you to the left, to the right, to the back. Once we get the plans, we'll show you at once.
Catalyst is taking care of irrigation, you said?
Roberts has agreed to allow them to tap into their water to irrigate the trees, for at least 12 months.
And are they, it's like, there's that 12 months, this was my other question. Say that something happens to the trees, whose responsibility is that?
Borough will probably need to maintain the easement, covenant, and the trees moving forward after the 12 months.
Okay. Just
So,
some of my
if the property was sold, they couldn't cut the trees down because it didn't.
Say that again?
We need an easement and a covenant, so if the property changed hands ever, and the new property owner wanted to cut the trees down because he didn't like them,
Okay.
we would have to secure that area for the trees.
Kelly, Bobby has another question. Come on up, Bobby.
Bobby J. Bruno, 302 North Lake Drive. Another thing I have to ask that was brought up to my attention today is sworn testimony. You know, I'm not going to like say senator's name again, but when I was in his office, he said, you have sworn testimony, so how could nothing happen for the residents that was in their way, like as far as us having anything happen? You have sworn testimony. We just witnessed sworn testimony tonight. Was that a waste of time? And the attorney there always laughed at you like, well, you know, we don't have to do that.
I think we should reach out to, if you get a chance, Steve, maybe reach out to Andy and see if he has any new recommendations for us, possibly he can relay that.
Well, the
stuff
new
that he won't
recommendations
do.
were to do something for the residents and to get the advice of a different solicitor.
We'll get that firsthand.
And that was also Rep. Lewis's when he came to my house. He said it all comes down to the solicitor, and your borough council needs to do a better job for you.
Thank you, Bob. All righty, Mayor and the council, do we have any updates? All righty.
Sure.
Did
Did you guys go?
No, I'm waiting.
Friday night concerts.
What about
Yeah, you
Jackson?
Go ahead, John.
First Friday night concerts this
You
Friday.
You have to raise your hand. Do you want to say
Friday
something?
night.
Oh, wait a
We're
minute.
not done.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I'm
Come on up, I'm sorry.
loud enough, I guess. Tom McMurray, 410 Farmhouse Road, Downingtown.
I'm sorry, wait till you get up here so she can get everything, please. Want to repeat your name and address?
Sure, Tom McMurray, 410 Farmhouse Road, Downingtown. I just wanted to let council know that I am personally affected by this as well. It's not just Lake Drive. From my house, I have a clear shot to the billboard, unobstructed, and I'm higher than Lake Drive. So I'm also seeking relief. I was the one who suggested maybe they could turn the sign. And even if it's 20%, that gives me what I need. I mean, it doesn't sound like anything proposed is going to help me. And I just want to let you know that.
Thank you. All right, Phil, you have an update?
I'm good.
Pat?
Just about the newsletter, Kelly, I wanted to say that we are signing off with Constant Contact. Val is going to put on the website where you can sign up to be a subscriber. And as soon as we get enough subscribers, it will be off into your mailbox, your email box.
Mayor?
I have three quick things. The Education Foundation is piloting a kindergarten jump start program at Beaver Creek where we're going to offer pre-K to every child going into kindergarten. And I just want to highlight Pat's idea a couple of years ago, and that we're implementing. So if you're in a free reduced lunch, you go to Beaver Creek, your kid's going to go to Beaver Creek, you can sign them up for pre-K for free, and it'll be paid obviously what the parents. The idea is, and this is, and I can't give more credit to Pat than she deserves, enough credit to Pat, is that we pilot this through all Downingtown elementary schools, that any child entering kindergarten in Downingtown School District would have an opportunity to go to pre-K. And as, even though that property assessment in Downingtown is $120,000, and most families, 80% of families here are paycheck to paycheck, I think this is a great thing for our community, and I just want to people know that. I ran into a woman at Staples, she had a kid going into Beaver Creek, and signed her up right there at the line at the Prince store. Second thing is, Phil and Jeff and the folks at the Main Street Association are doing the first, not the first, but I think the biggest to the scale, monthly festival in Court Park. Jeff started this last year with the Summer Jam Series. It's been scaled to include food trucks, music, there's going to be kids out there singing, Station Taproom, I think it's going to be a beer garden. It'll be great family fun, a family version of what Westchester does with First Fridays. It'll be Final Fridays, the last Friday of every month in the summer. This was Jeff's idea a year ago, and he used the Main Street Association to get that done. I just want to acknowledge that. The third thing, and council made the biggest decision that I've seen them make since I've been here. We appointed a new police chief in Chief Holland. He'll be sworn in at our first meeting in July. He's a lifelong police officer here in Downingtown, moved up from patrolman to sergeant to lieutenant to now chief. He's run the regional SWAT team and been through the FBI National Academy. And I encourage all Downingtown residents to come and welcome our new chief. He's been here his whole career, but what a cool moment for our town because we make these decisions every 15 years, and I look forward to this community getting even a strong relationship with our new chief.
That's on July 6th, our next council meeting. That's everybody knows. I'll tell you. Yeah.
It's already been said twice. My little summer jam baby I gave over to somebody else, and let's see how they do.
And updates?
Yeah, actually, I had a question on the whole summer jam thing. It's not for the Parks Commission, it's by Main Street. Is it benefiting anybody in particular? That, or just?
It's free for the community to come and listen to music, there's gonna be food there, so I think it benefits everyone.
Well, you know what I mean, like, if you do something like the duck race or something, the proceeds go to the.
There's no ticket sales.
Oh,
There's no,
no, so,
Like your neighbor day, you want some fries, you get some fries, you want to listen to music, you sit down.
come on down.
Food trucks, so you gotta pay for your food.
okay, so, yeah.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Thank you, everyone, for your.